stuff for group one? Group one, do you have your files uploaded?
Sorry.
So I guess Colonel Cucini, the group leader of hybrid warfare. Massimo.
Sir? If we can have the slide that we have prepared, please. In the meantime, I am Colonel Massimo Cucchini. I'm a newly appointed COESPUDIN, and I have chaired the group Work Group 1 focused on hybrid threat topic. Our starting point for analysis was the assumption said this morning at the end of the topic discussion about the stability policing as usable tool against hybrid threat. And the answer that, or better, more than the answer, we consider that yes, but only condition-based. And now I wait the slide that we have quickly prepared at the end of the workgroup to explain what I mean. First of all, we specify something that was probably need to be clarified this morning about the Article 5 triggering in considering the armed attack by another entity in a hybrid sense. And we don't talk about weapons considering armed, but mostly the effects. Then when the attack on hybrid side was focused to destroy critical infrastructures of the other country, although without missiles or things like this, we can consider it effectively an armed attack, and then this could drive to trigger the Article 5 operations. That said, just to specify these aspects, we talk about, we analyze, although probably is needed a workshop or more time to study completely this kind of topic, because it's very, very large and complex. But we say, okay, SP could be a usable tool against hybrid threat, but condition-based. First of all, SP involvement appetite. It's clear that during the planning phase of the mission and the fourth generation, we must see if the international community, independently, which is the entity that organize and deploy the mission, has the appetite to deploy SP assets on the field. This seems a simple or clear or obvious issues, but is not as we always have experienced before. That said, if there is this idea and then the desire to deploy SP assets, both or robust entity to replace a local police if there is no police in the country, or with the SP specialists to support the national police. Anyway, this must be clarified at the beginning of the mission. Naturally, this drives to the second aspect, meaning that for employing stability policing in the ground, not only, but also against a potential hybrid warfare, it must be absolutely clear which is a comprehensive legal framework, meaning not only the international mandate to arrange the mission, but mostly the legal framework of the host nation, and which are effectively the legal tools that could be used by stability policing assets or specialists to do this kind of job. Taking care that naturally SP could be only a part of the comprehensive systems that involve many actors against the hybrid threat, meaning that not every type of threat that we have analyzing this morning, like political, economical, etc., could be tackled by or thanks to a stability policing asset or specialist support. This is absolutely clear also when we talk about a situation where anyway, although as example, an economical threat could drive to riots on the ground and then affect police activities. But anyway, as I repeat, this activity must be conducted by many actors and everybody with his own role. For that reason, one of the problems that surely must be faced is the comprehensive intel sharing, meaning that it's clear that it's not possible that someone of these actors that I've told before could be jealous about information to share with the others, because considering the type of threat that is posed by an opponent that use hybrid tactics, is focused to hit different sectors of the other country or enemy or whatever. And then if the intel sharing is not correct, we are able to compete against one single aspect of the threat, but not the others. This was already another very difficult thing that probably many of us has experienced doing mission overseas, because sometimes, although the mission is international, every nation seems to go in its own direction. And this drive surely to a failure in a normal case, but mostly in this kind of contest against an hybrid threat, due also to the complexity of the threat itself. Naturally, this, if the intel sharing is correct, this can drive the stability policing asset or specialist to have a right focus on the center of gravity of the actions, meaning that could be focused exactly to what is stability policing is able to do in that phase, in that moment, and with all the legal instruments that we have talked before. Those are more substantially the reflection that we have done about the possibility for stability policing to do something, or to do an activity against an hybrid warfare, or in a hybrid warfare context, it is better. Naturally, we're not the purpose to say that we are able to do everything, because it's fake, but what we can do and when we can do, if we have the right legal instruments to do it. This is the conclusions of the work group 1.
Thank you, Massimo. Appreciate it for your summary of conclusions there. I would just ask the group if there's anything that you'd like to, any questions for group 1, comments from the panel. We're happy with the conclusions, sir.
Well, very, I would say, thoughtful conclusions and discussion and conclusions. I have only one concern, but this is my personal point of view. So take as it is. Let's apply the Chatham House rule. Triggering the Article 5 because of, let's say, terrorist or asymmetric attack to a sensitive infrastructure. Well, this is very similar to triggering the launch of a nuclear bomb because of a direct attack to Mother Russia, if mother country Russia, if we start considering, let's say, the terrorist attack on the Kerch bridge or another sensitive infrastructure, maybe not only in the Ukraine, Russian occupied territories, but directly beside the Russian borders. So it's quite, I mean, full of possible consequences assumption, this one. However, it is not at our level to consider these aspects. However, it's quite sensitive, so it is not something that we can take easily. Any comments from you? Okay.
I'll just real quick, as I look at the list of findings, the thing that sticks out to me is the comprehensive approach to intelligence support.
Yep.
And I do think that is perhaps something that Carabinieri headquarters or gendarme headquarters could facilitate with their sister services, and then potentially in the joint services, international services on intel sharing, because a lot of those are in place with regards to NATO missions for sure. So that's certainly something I think that could be done by folks at our level, sir.
Yeah, this is, you are opening the Pandora box. Because concerning the sharing of intelligence, the matter is quite complicated. Nationally, when it comes to terrorism, we, in Italy, we set up a mechanism, it's called CASA. CASA stands for Comitato di Analisi Strategica Antiterrorismo, where all the stakeholders involved in the collection, analysis, and development of intelligence that could have some reflex on terrorism sit together and share information. But when it comes to the sharing of intelligence between countries or between organizations or between different settings, the matter is quite complicated. First of all, because of the protection of data. Then it is a matter of confidence, reciprocal mutual confidence. There are links that can be posed, limits that can be posed to the further spreading of the information shared. There are real concerns that that kind of information sooner or later can be used against the own source. I mean, and already, and some organizations such as the European Union who have the Europol or other agencies, I mean, the first aspect that they have to deal is the maintenance of the data and protecting the data. So there is a need for an infrastructure that grants that. I mean, it's quite complicated. It's quite complicated. So if NATO, if the Five Eyes, if other organizations already solve these matters, then when it comes to put this organization together and exchange data, the problem starts. And not to say that, for instance, in the end, one of the organizations who is starting to think about intelligence, sharing and development are the United Nations. A few years ago, it was even forbidden to talk about intelligence in the United Nations. Now the JMAC are working for this collection of data, but who are the countries who belong to the United Nations? Potentially also competitors. So we know that, I mean, in the Security Council, I mean, we have the contemporary presence of competitors right now, and this is extended to 186 different countries of the world. So it's quite complicated matter. So this is the reason why I suggested to go deeper in this topic, because it is easy to say we need the sharing of intelligence, we need the sharing of information. This is, of course, a dream for an operational on the ground, but it is not always feasible and easy to achieve.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that. So I think, Massimo, that's something that we probably need to look further at as we publish these findings. So any other questions or comments about hybrid warfare from the group? Thoughts? Okay. If I could ask the working group number 2 to take the stand. Oh, we get the good colonel. Giuseppe.
Thank you. No, for sure. It's better now, eh? Yeah, this one. I can,
I tell you that in future, in the near future, we will have 2 monitors there. This will disappear, so we will have this, okay? Amazing, like in the, on the TV sets. So we will, yes, yes.
so the point is, sir and dear colleagues, how can we better address from the 3 different perspectives the challenges at stake, NATO strategic concept, the EU strategic compass, which is not the document which is to be as a reference for policing European Union, however, and also environmental protection, which is not that strategic because it's one of the several work strands that comes out also from the NATO strategic concept. So, set of issues. So in order to achieve our end state, we do need to enhance our mutual support. So my thanks and my praise goes to the colleagues from Eurogen 4 and COESPU, who, and the colleagues from the doctrine branch of the NATO's PCA Center of Excellence who were with me in our very fruitful 1.5-hour talk, which was also observed by 2 very nice observers from the 2nd Mobile Brigade, very proactive observer from the 2nd Mobile Brigade. Thank you to you all. So how to enhance the mutual support? At stake is also a methodology and terminology issue. Well, not one issue, several issues relevant to that. Do we need to work on common definitions? Do we need to approach the same subject matter, yes, from different perspectives, but talking the same language? We do have 3 different mindsets, indeed. And so we need a structured approach. How can we achieve this structured approach, though? And then gray zone, as Marco was mentioning, which takes us back to the working group 1. How can we better address these gray zones from our perspective, thanks to our skills? Again, 11 different countries, huge expertise available here. So we don't need to fetch support from outside, maybe, if we pivot on our own expertise. My working group, there were 2 great experts on counterterrorism. One is from the Mobile Brigade, the other one is in Eurogen 4. So why do I need to fetch support from outside when I have an expert on counterterrorism on the other side of the square? This is a golden opportunity, is a refrain, this term, but for us, for Eurogen 4, but also for the entire hub, to include stability policing considerations into the European Union Civilian Compact, which is going to be revised in the light of the EU Strategic Compacts, which was presented early this morning. So, could be a solution to, let's see afterwards the solution. How can we do it? And then stability policing exercises, we spoke about it. We spoke also about the solution that we found in the Center of Excellence. No, our level of ambition can cover only one exercise. We are creating a cadre of subject matter experts from the sponsoring nations to be deployed under our budget in the NATO exercises. But still, what about the huge expertise available here? So why don't we merge our strength, our forces, and to deploy, maybe, no, detach somebody on a case-by-case basis, for sure, under our aegis to be deployed in NATO exercise. Since the beginning, as Francesco mentioned, Borretti mentioned several times. And then, Marina, where are you? I cannot see, here you are. Marina was very vocal on the need to create advisory positions throughout the missions in the command structures as well. And as we mentioned, in NATO there is already something, but it could be enhanced. And I trust there is something ongoing. There is a very important event. We can discuss about it on the 9th of November on environmental protection, which is led by the NATO Standardization Office. It's an high-level event on this. So NATO is moving some steps more, will be not only protection, but is also something more proactive, hopefully. Otherwise, we just wait and see. Solutions. First and foremost, we identified, where is Fabio? It is from Portugal. We identify an issue which is acknowledged issue. We don't know what the right hand does and the left hand does, and left hand does. So we need to enhance the mutual understanding of the three different entities. So first solution, we need to incorporate induction training in our induction training packages, presentations, information on the respective entities. Then we could create cadres of subject matter experts, not only for exercises, but for any given topic which may be of importance for us. How we do it? We need to meet more often, with due respect to everyone, at leadership level and at staff level. What about having, apart from the Stability Policing Day, which is good, but what about having a thematic workshop or thematic conference on something which is really important at stake for the international community and approaching the same subject matter from our three different perspectives? I trust could give more visibility to each one of us. This is something which came out from, for sure, the working group. And then internally, to pivot on the expertise available to work on what we want to develop, because there are numerous work strands to be expanded, both under NATO strategic concept in the European Union, but also on the environmental protections. But there are so many other matters. Think about human security, which is our core business, children armed conflict, cultural property protection, fighting trafficking human beings, and so on and so forth. So why don't we create sub-working group? No, apart from the two-layer periodical meeting, sub-working group, which delve into the subject matters from the doctrinal, training exercise, lesson learned perspectives. Or let's have three standing standard working group and then thematic working group on counterterrorism or the civilian compact. Now, if we want to be relevant in the civilian compact, we cannot come up just calling out, I have a friend in the last office on the right-hand side of that corridor, who can help me? We need a structural approach, maybe a letter co-signed by the three entities, by the leadership of the three entities. So we need something more structured. So that concludes my briefing. Pending your questions.
Thank you very much. Is there any comments from the room? No? Just a couple things that come to mind for me before I turn it over to the general is that as I'm listening to today's events and the outbriefs, I think there's outreach to our defense partners that we should focus on as well, like educating folks in the green uniforms about what the guys and gals in blue uniforms do with regards to stability policing. And I think for each of you from your home countries, your ambassadors to your home country on stability policing and why it's important, to those of us that are from land forces, I think on detail here, it's our responsibility to go back to our branch services and talk about what stability policing is. And I think that in order to address some of these issues in the strategic compass that in the NATO strategic concept that don't include stability or police activities necessarily outright, I think that it's one of these things where if we don't like what our policymakers are deciding, we got to figure out what our message is to them so that they make informed decisions on what stability policing is and kind of where it fits into the overarching architecture of these strategic concepts. So I think as much as we communicate amongst the three entities here, we will have a message to take back to our home countries, to talk to our colleagues about stability policing and where it fits into the picture, and just get some traction about why it's important, what this gray zone is that we're talking about in hybrid warfare, and how is it that stability policing works. And I'm the new kid on the block. Like I've been here for like literally, I think 2 days. But I can already tell the importance just from having conversations with folks in this room, folks down in Rome, listening to my own representatives from the SIGAR, the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction, on what the U.S. should be doing. And kind of my part of that is to go be a good ambassador of stability policing. So I think as much as we need to all be on the same sheet of music, we need to figure out what our outreach plan is to our defense partners who are used to, as I was told by some of my special forces colleagues, kicking in doors and shooting people in the face and jumping on grenades. They're very comfortable in that zone. They're not comfortable in the stability policing and even what it means and what that. So I think if I could add some work to this group, I think it's what is our, and I think it also includes our next working group as well. Like, what's our messaging to folks who make these types of decisions strategically, and our defense partners that can be our advocates, because they oftentimes, more often than not, have seats at the table as these discussions are being held and decisions are being made. So that's just the one thing that's kind of was obvious to me as you were presenting your issues and solutions as a newcomer to stability policing, and kind of having been guilty of not understanding what stability policing is in the past. So with that, sir,
we could add a stakeholder analysis, so we could identify the right stakeholders. No, in NATO, the center, we have a clear idea about who are our stakeholders. Mm-hmm. And we have an outreach program to get in touch with them. The point is what we want to accomplish as a HAM. So our point in the working group 2 is focus on something, and if you go on the specific topics, the first quick win, because the first important document that we can influence is the EU Civilian Compact. So is Eurogen 4 the only entity here which has a vested interest on the subject matter? Maybe yes. Can we support them? And from my perspective, if you were to co-sign a letter, will be a piece of cake to promote the role of stability policing. NATO advocates for more cooperation with the European Union. So the strategic concept supports me in doing so. I'm not reinventing the wheel. So maybe a stakeholder analysis could be added as a solution. But what is crucial for what we agreed in our working group is that we need to meet more often, not only in this more formal fashion, but periodically, both at leadership level and staff level. This helps and enhances cooperation, mutual support. Mutual support is crucial. We do have diversities, but it doesn't mean that we don't have the same blood group. Blue indeed.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. The engagement should be routinized. It shouldn't just be by chance as we're walking across the square to get coffee, and yes, you bump into someone new and you realize that guy has the same job as you and could help you develop maybe your courses and that sort of stuff. We should already know that sort of stuff, and I think that kind of speaks to what we're trying to achieve here. So excellent work, sir. I'll turn it over to you.
Well, since Colonel De Magistris decided to chair this workshop, how can I raise comments or criticisms to the outcomes of this job? So it's perfect, nothing to say. But besides jokes, I fully agree with the comments raised by Colonel Daniel. We need outreach our political level to better explain what we do, who we are. We are striving since the COESP was established and contemporarily the European Gendarmerie Force to provide this kind of information and education to our strategic levels, nationally and internationally. But these are concepts quite, sometimes quite complicated. It is easy to reconduct, to reduce such sophisticated, I would say, sometimes also philosophical concepts in something very easy. In the end, the idea is that Carabinieri, Gendarmerie type forces are good to perform crowd control, and that is finish. Which is very frustrating, believe me, very, very frustrating after years and years of modeling and displaying and spreading and informing on the real nature of gendarmerie type forces, of the law enforcement responsibilities we carry out in our own nations, on our structures, on our organization, on our capacities. But in the end, the ultimate message is, okay, these are robust policing for crowd control. Stop. We will continue to that. We need, as you said, to exploit also the outcomes of the next session in a fruitful way, but also we need the recipients that are able to understand. And we need the support of our colleagues in green. Because sometimes our colleagues in green have something to defend, probably. And so instead of promoting this other tool in the hand of a force commander or in the hand of a special representative responsible for a mission from a political point of view, are playing this kind of role that are limiting the role of stability policing to crowd control. Stop. Okay. Probably I said too much, but this is unfortunately the real situation.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I look forward to having more of these discussions with you as I learn more about stability policing. So if there's no other comments from working group number 2, I think we can move to working group number 3 to discuss media engagement. And I think what everyone wants to hear about is the training calendar for the next 2 years.
Dear directors, commander, dear colleagues, I'm very happy to stand here on behalf of Working Group 3 because this topic lies close to my heart, being the chief of staff of the NATO Stability Policing Center of Excellence. Every day, not every day, sometimes I enjoy a stay in Holland too because this is where I live. I walk in the center and I see a lot of uniforms, high level, and I see a lot of quality. And I also sometimes find myself in my office behind my computer thinking, we do not have enough capacity to train, to educate, to go to seminars or wherever stability policing needs us. Because we are only 37 in our center. Why don't we cooperate in a better fashion? Then I came upon the trilateral agreement, which is signed in 2016 by you, General, also. And I read the document before I went today to this seminar, and I was astonished on the quality. It's really good. It's specific. There's no questions about it. And how come we are raising the questions in 2022 on how we can work better and in a fashionable way? I think because there's always room for improvement. So this is why we're here. Can I have the second slide? Can I do it?
You advance the slide.
Oh, the responsibility is on me, sir. Okay.
Someone back there.
So, trilateral agreements. So when it's good, why should we change it? I don't, our workshop led us to the conclusion we should boost it. So there are some points we can enhance, we can improve, but in the end, it's good, it's hands-on, and it's very clear. Only 3 pages, which is very good for us as, let's say, bureaucrats. So we can work on that. But, however, there are some complications, of course, because talking about the United Nations, about the EU, and about NATO, we talk about different organizations with their own merits and their own, let's say, challenges. If we would share UN, EU, and NATO perspectives through subject matter experts, databases and lectures, and education and training catalogs, we would already have a big start ahead. When we talked about the database, I learned that Westpol has its own database. Of course they have, because they are a professional organization. We also have our own database, but we do not talk together. If we need a professor on environmental protection, or we need somebody to talk about battlefield evidence, or we need an expert, we tend to call each other, and on Friday afternoon, on Monday morning, we need an expert, somebody got sick. So there is room for improvement, and it's, I think, a quick win. And I'm also realizing now that the workshop 2 was more or less of the same topic as what I'm talking about on behalf of working group 3, because it's all about how can we connect in a better way. Looking at the trilateral agreement, we highlighted a few topics where we think we should start. So for the mutual support, doctrine, of course, training, lessons learned, research. There's a very good paper from Westpol on 2023, 2024, at least a lot of information on the academic year. Within our center, we found, and José is in the room, we read the paper as the first one in our center, a lot of common interests. Not only common interests, also common ground, where we could really engage together, because we are the Stability Policing Center of Excellence within NATO, but we are working within the hub. But I was surprised of the document, and we started connecting and then looking for ways to get it done in a better way next year. At least we want to connect, because we want to be involved in what Westpol does. Plans and policies. Eurogen4 have operational units, at least on behalf of them, in Kosovo. They had it this year. We don't have it because we are Center of Excellence, just like Westpol. But I really would like to learn about their lessons in Mitrovica and how they connect with MSU or with the EU within this operation, which is 2022. And they have a plan and policy desk, which we don't have. They have an operations. The presentation on prudent planning, on how the Westpol is organizing all the support, was for me interesting to learn, but we also would like to intervene there, because sometimes we have the same topics within 2 months in 2 different events. Why not do it together? Would be a good one. And logistics and SIS. I don't know how the world looks in your office, but computers, training grounds, cell phones, iPads, having BTCs, which should be NATO secret, or which should be in a room which is provided so you only have to push one button, sometimes is a big challenge. I think spending one time a little bit more money on really good stuff is better than 3 of us spending a little bit less money on the same stuff. Okay, so it was of course a quick fix. 1 hour talking, 1.5 hour talking about what we can do together. This is a quick one. So we focused on, okay, how can we then at least advise the senior management on a possibility. Sorry, I forgot 4 and 5, of course. Excuse me. Public and press affairs, corporate identity. We started to look at, okay, what is the corporate identity of our hub? We cannot do it in 1.5 hours. It would be advisable, we thought, to have a platform, specialists. So every organization has its own PAO office, and maybe invite an intern or an university or young people who know a little bit about social media, which we do not know as, let's say, grown-ups in a world we sometimes do not understand. And do it together. If there is a big event from Quespo or from Eurogen4, we can also retwitter, or we can also put some attention in our social media on their event, etc. So there's a lot to gain. And the last one, activities and events here in the hub. Christmas, why not? Stability Policing Day, we are here. So of course we are hindered by the corona pandemic. So we had some problems the last 1, 2, 3 years. But there's a lot of things we can do together, even on stability policing. I don't mean that the Santa Claus should come here in a police uniform, but there's something to do, and we should also think about the Pareto Brothers in Arms. Okay. Then, way forward. We think platforms are the way to go. Again, back to the PIO. We have experts in all 3 organizations. If they have guidance on where to look for and how to tackle this and have maybe a budget there, they can provide in the next Stability Policing Day a corporate identity. How about a new logo? The 3 of us together, etc., etc. So there is something we can do there by creating platforms on different topics. Working Group 2 had also mentioned some topics which were, identical to what I'm talking about. But let's see if we can work from there. And I really am keen on having a platform, let's say, on exchanging lecturers or talking about stability policing as a specialty and publications, etc. Okay, I think I talked enough. I don't know if somebody from my working group has something to add and wants to take the microphone. Okay, then I want to finish with this gentleman, already been used earlier today. Being 3 different identities, if we don't plan and we only call, we will fail. So I like the system of NATO, where we have a program of work which we have finished in August, September, approved by the steering committee, and then we will execute it in 2023. Who really want to exchange and want to improve here, I would suggest not to do the quick fix, but maybe for the next Stability Policing Day, we will have the results of what's being discussed today, and then also have a planning group or planning platform where we merge and we can put in our program and have budget from our NATO for the beneficial work of the Stability Policing Hub. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I guess, are there any comments from the group before I turn it over to the commanders? I think, sir, before I turn it over to you, I think that the 3 colonels at the table need to get together and have a proposal to you on how we should move forward with the Stability Policing Hub concept. And I certainly wouldn't ask for you to make some recommendation right now or a decision, but I do think that the 3 of us do owe you some sort of recommendation on the way forward and what that would look like at some future point. So I would leave it to you to tell us when that would be. And sir, I'll just turn it over to you.
So this is really prudent and preventative planning because he cut grass under my feet and it is exactly what I wanted to highlight from the outcomes of the last working group. Excellent job, very appreciated. I do really believe that the real benefit of today work was this brainstorming amongst us. And the quality and of the all outcomes, outbrief, shown that you all provided your open and bold and clear contribution to the discussion of within the different working groups. Of course, the two first sessions are with very high and strategic aim, but as COESPO director, together with, and I'm sure to also talk on behalf of my colleagues here, the real and immediate benefit will be to develop and put in place a mechanism for a better, even better cooperation and coordination amongst our activities, avoiding duplication of efforts, avoiding frictions, avoiding unexpected. Of course, we have also always prudent planning includes also contingency planning and the possibility of emergencies. But we definitely need to work on a more systematic and predictable programs. I'm very happy for the outcomes of this workshop because, as I said, from this time, a bottom-up rather than a top-down process, many considerations, many recommendations sorted out. And I do believe that for the future, what you have just proposed and what has been proposed by the Chief of Staff of the NATO Stability Policing Center of Excellence is to prepare in a more structured way, in a more systematic way, not in a very last moment events such the one we conducted today will lead to even better results. So, well, I prepared a speech for the conclusion of this working day, but in reality, the concepts that were written here in a more elegant and a more diplomatic way are condensed in what I just said. So I'm really, really happy, really impressed by the level of engagement, by the work that has been done by all, by Colonel Bortoli, and by the Deputy Commander of the NATO Stability Policing Center of Excellence, Colonel Kuniatkaya Dudzabistla, if I'm correct, sorry, in proposing the topics that have led the works. I thank very much and I welcome once again my new Deputy Director, Colonel William Daniel, who has just arrived and is already on the spot. He's already, are you a parachutist? Yes, you are. So it's already effectively engaged in supporting and oversighting our activities. I thank all the head of the workshops who helped and contributed to facilitate the discussion inside their own working groups. I thank the lecturers who presented the briefings, the presentation this morning to provide the framework to set the stage for the other discussions. I thank all who followed us on stream and live stream, or who were here even in person this morning to the plenary activities. And I mostly thank my two colleagues, the commander of Eurojust for permanent headquarters and the director of the NATO Stability Center of Excellence for sharing with me the conviction of the need for this kind of activities that serve to develop thoughts, but also they are good, I would say, also represent a good training area where we can learn from one each other and better understand from one each other, develop confidence and respect independently from the organization we represent. So, having said that, I thank you very much. I'm looking forward for future and even better success of this stability policing hub in the COESPU compound. And I wish you also a good continuation of your activities, of your work in your own organizations. Thank you very much.
Attention.